Friends, in just a moment, we are going to begin the funeral for Edith Shanken. We would invite everyone to come underneath the shelter of the canopy. We do want to start as close to on time as possible, mostly because we don't want anyone to be out in the heat for too much of an extended period of time. If you have a cell phone or a pager, please take a moment to turn it off or place it in the silent mode. And officiating today's services will be Rabbi Evan Moffick from Macomb Soil Lakeside in Highland Park.
In ancient times, on hearing of the death of a loved one, people would literally tear their garments. We model that today by the black ribbon. You got it. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination. And life is a journey. From childhood to maturity, and youth to age. From innocence to awareness, and ignorance to knowing. From foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom. From weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again. From health to sickness, and back we pray to help again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination. And life is a journey, sacred pilgrimage, the life everlasting. These words, which were penned by Rabbi Alvin Fine, really express the Jewish philosophy of life and of death. They tell us that we come here in grief. We also come here as much as we can with a measure of gratefulness. Grateful that God blessed the world with the life of Edith Shanken. Our Jewish funeral service is fairly simple. It consists of some readings, some psalms, some reflections, and concludes with the Kaddish prayer. We'll continue now with the words of the 23rd Psalm. Those of you who know it, or you can look in your pamphlet, please feel free to join me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. At the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. The rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. The opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, We remember them. The beginning of the year and when it ends. We remember Edith Shanken. She's now a part of us. As we remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. As long as we live, Edie too shall live, for she is now a part of us as we remember her. I'd like to invite up several family members who will share their memories.
Edith Shanken created so many memories for everyone that she touched. When I was a kid, she made me unusual lunches. Lunch sandwiches were always last night's dinner between two pieces of bread. The good days were her terrific brisket. Then there were the days that nobody would trade me for my stuffed green peppers or lamb chops in the sandwiches. While Courtney was my gymnastics coach, my mom was my biggest fan. She said that she never saw the meets except through the lens of the Super 8 camera that she was filming all my meets at. As everyone knows, my mom was into vitamins long before it was trendy. Her approach, however, was unorthodox. She would say, "These are good for you," and just give me a handful of them in all different colors. She also had a unique way of giving directions. She would say, "Take the exit and drive for so many minutes," but she was always right. My mom had a keen fashion sense. After a long beach trip, I asked her how I looked. She noticed right away that one of my socks were inside out. Sometimes she made me laugh out loud. Kevin and I were in Palm Springs and we decided to go to the zoo. My mom was very insistent that we go see the giraffes. I could not convince her that was not their name. She was so insistent. But the thing I remember most was her generous host. When we came for a sip and a dip at the Shankens pool. I'm sure you'll all have many happy memories of her.
I'm not sure I can hold this together and not cry. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm trying already. Okay. COVID was very, let's say, challenging for all but a difficult time near your end of your life. She was exposed 4 times in the last 6 months, but she was just too tough to catch it. She was so brave to move up to Wisconsin to be near me and my family. But she left back here in Illinois some family, friends, and the familiarity. Sorry, I knew I'd screw that up. Of her family, of her surroundings. But the move was great for her. At Newcastle, where she lived, she enjoyed events like art extremely. She did some great artwork. She played mahjong. She played bingo. She went on outings. Her friends called her sweet, beautiful, stylish, and liked her sense of humor. I think she got that from her father. I would add, however, that she was also stubborn and she loved to shop. But, yes, but she was a very tough woman and she was also very brave. She really enjoyed being together whenever we could celebrate. There was nothing better for her than being with our family. The day before she died, the caregiver told me that there was a large, very red cardinal flying around their window. She lived in the third floor, so this was very unusual to have a cardinal up that high. The caregiver later heard some knocking on the outside wall. She couldn't figure out what it was. Who knows what it was? But I like to think maybe it was my father waiting for her, saying, "Where's Edie?" Like he always did when he came home. They connected with each other by chance 2 times before they were married. I'm sure most of you know that story. So I like to think that he was looking for her. I love you, Mom, and I will miss you and will think of you every day forever. May we all remember and love each other and enjoy every day.
Well, I'm going to keep this short because they have just about said everything. There's a few things I'm going to treasure about memories with my mom. And one is the shopping, which was the cooking, always the cooking, her plant arranging. And for me, the memory I will always treasure is going to Starbucks every day. So when someone you love dies, you never quite get over it. You just slowly learn to go on without them. But you always keep them tucked safely in your heart. And I didn't write that, it's a quote from Empire, but it fits exactly how I believe when someone passes. It is the memories we have that are beautiful. We treasure them forever, unlike these special people in our lives that do not last forever. Bye, Mom, but you're with Dad now.
Such powerful remarks, memories. They reminded me of this wonderful Jewish story, legend. It's about 2 ships. They're each near land. One of the ships is going into the harbor. The other is going out from it. And everyone is cheering the outgoing ship, giving it this wonderful, exciting send-off. But the incoming ship is scarcely noticed. A wise man standing nearby chastised the people's reactions. "Rejoice not," he said, "over the ship that is setting out to sea. For you know not what destiny awaits it, storms it may encounter, what dangers lurk before it. Rejoice rather over the ship that has reached port safely and brought back all its passengers in peace." It is the way of the world that when a human being is born, everyone rejoices. But when a loved one dies, we all feel sorrow. According to this story, we can also struggle to see it the opposite way. Nobody knows what troubles await the developing child on its journey through life. But when a person has lived well and lived a full life, all can take comfort in the knowledge that she has completed her journey successfully. And without a doubt, Edith Shanken made such a successful journey through life. As we just heard, it was a journey accompanied by family and love. Family was everything. In addition to shopping and those other things too, but one thing I'll always remember about Edie and Courtney, because in some ways I think of them together, having been their neighbor and been their rabbi, is just how committed, how loving they were towards Congregation Solel, which they were members of for at least 50 years, if not more. And they were always there to talk to. Sometimes Courtney would give me a little bit of advice on what I should do or shouldn't do during the service. But they were, loving, supportive, wonderful members for so long. And it speaks to Edie's character. She was rooted not only in family, but in tradition, in Judaism, in the rich tradition that she inherited and that she then passed on to her children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And in Jewish tradition, the way we honor a loved one, the way we remember a loved one, is by saying the words, Zichrona Livracha, may her memory be a blessing. These words convey the purpose of a well-lived life, that those who know you, those who come after you, those who remember you, look to your life as a blessing, a benediction, and an inspiration. Being a blessing means that you have touched the lives of those you knew, and that you have helped them do the same for others. And for so many people, for many people who aren't here, who passed away, because I know they had so many friends, for so many people, the life of Edith Shanken was an extraordinary blessing, especially for Courtney, for Nancy, and Sandy, and Robert, and Jeff, and Lynn, and Matthew, and Betsy, and Jennifer, and Aaron, and Dana, and Nathan, and Kendall, and Justin, and Kim, and Kevin, and her 8 great-grandchildren, several of whom I see right here. For all of them, for her friends who are still here, for whose lives she touched, and who touched hers. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May the memory of Edith Shanken endure among us as an everlasting blessing. God, you give us loved ones, and you make them the strength of our life and the light of our eyes. They depart and leave us bereft on a lonely way, but you are the living fountain from which our healing flows. To you, the stricken look for comfort and the sorrow-laden for consolation. God, we see life as through windows that open on eternity. We see that love endures and the soul endures, as you, O God, endure forever. We see that the years are more than grass that withers, more than flowers that fade. They weave a timeless pattern in a world that is a dwelling place of your love and your glory. I'd ask you now if you're comfortably able to please rise as we say the El Molei Rachamim and the Kaddish. El Molei Rachamim, Shochan Baromim, Hamsei Menucha, Mechona, Tachar Shechina, and Kidoshim, V'Chachorim, V'Zohar, Hakim Asirim, and Nishma, Edith Shanken, V'Chapala Olama, V'Harachamim, Yasirei, Habasefer, V'Chapala Olamin, V'Yitor, V'Yitor, Chaim, V'Yishnata, Adonai V'Nachalata, V'Tanuach, V'Shalom, V'Mishkaba, V'Nomar, Amen. Compassionate God, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltered presence to our beloved mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, loved one, wife, friend, Edith Shanken, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and may her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. For you, the eternal God of her inheritance, may she rest in peace, and let us all say, Amen. Our final prayer is the Kaddish prayer, which is our traditional Jewish prayer of mourning. The Kaddish doesn't mention death, it only talks about life and about glorifying God. And I think the message of that is that in Jewish tradition, the way we honor a loved one, the way we remember a loved one, is by remembering their most sacred qualities and seeking to integrate them into our own lives. So as is ancient Jewish tradition, we say together, Yikadal, Yikadash, Shmei Rabbah, Yama, Yidra, Yute, Yamit, Malchite, V'chayakol, V'chayakol, V'chaye, V'chol, Beit Yisrael, Adonai, Uvivan, Kari, V'imru, Amen. Yehei, Shmei Rabbah, Yorah, V'olam, Amen, Amaya. Yitbarach, Yishabach, Yitahar, Yitnomam, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitaval, Yitisha, Yitu, La'ela, Minpo, Birchata, Bishirata, Tushkata, Benefemata, Namiran, Yaba, Amen. Shama, Rava, Shemaya, Ayin, Mamrenu, Yoko, Yisrael, May God, the source of peace, send peace to all of us who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us all say, Amen. You may be seated as we wait a few minutes while the casket is lowered.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
You know, it's first year I got to
actually, no question. Evan was always joking. They call him the one of the girls.
You guys know which way to Cicero? I told nothing. You probably know who I am with no hair. Absolutely.
That boy.
We're family. I told you that. It's nice about that. No, no. Water. Which you can see is a body, right?
doesn't help me research it. And here's it. Said that.
Yeah, but keep modifying it.
I've had problems.
And she gives me a bag to say, go that way. To the job. Money?
No, like running up. You know, we don't want to talk about that. Hi.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Mom's a special.
Yes, they were the whole family. We're all special.
Yes, that's right.
We're all special. Yeah, he changed a little bit. We should see him well, we should see him. Yeah. I'll put a beer down
Yeah. I know that was against your wish.
Wait, so and we don't want people. Literally, I can dig up a picture, I'll show it to you.
Oh, no, I have to go back to it. I did that for you too. I know. I knew what? that's
I thought it would be completely inappropriate for me to be there. Yeah. All the time.
That's a good question, and it's hard to find answers. What a sense of belonging, responsibility.
Yeah, I want to
You see the shape? I mean, you never know. I remember you did it, right? Oh, more.
What am I doing right now?
More. Yeah.